Transfer rumours and reports continue to emerge when we're just trying to focus on Arsenal and the title race and the fact that we need to turn things around against Porto, and there's just far too much football to be played, especially when we actually can't sign any of these players until the summer. But the rumours are relentless, the reports are relentless, and there have actually been a few recent updates that I put stock into that I believe that are making me think, okay, Arsenal's summer might look very different to what I actually thought it might look like, and yeah, there might be a surprise new strategy from Arsenal that I want to discuss. Now, the first bit of sort of update and news comes from Mo at Mo Arsenal 86. Mo has been spot on with a lot of things, and he's not an official reporter, but someone I've spoken to on Twitter. Spoke to him before. He kind of was giving us updates on the Arsenal front. Always great to chat to, but has been really, really spot on when it comes to things like fixture rescheduling, injury news, some transfer stuff. So, look, I'm always going to put people out there and their reports that I think there's something worth believing in, and Mo has been pretty spot on. And this is his latest update saying that Osimhen is still the number one choice and that nothing has changed. Arsenal will push hard for him. That comes as a bit of a surprise to me because I did a video on this channel saying I think it's pretty obvious he's going to Chelsea, and a lot of the rumours in the Chelsea space were, yeah, it's going to happen. From the John Obi Mikel podcast, all this stuff, it felt like he was destined to go to Chelsea. That might still be the case. If I'm honest, I actually still think that's where he ends up eventually, even if it's not necessarily this summer. There are other clubs linked like Real Madrid and PSG, but the crucial thing is that Chelsea don't look an option for him, according to David Ornstein, who he's basically saying that Chelsea are tight on PSR rules, and that essentially is a financial thing. Chelsea has spent too much money. Who could have seen that happening? So if I'm to just accept that I think Osimhen's still going to Chelsea despite him potentially still being our number one target, you then look to this weekend, you look at the Brentford game and you look at Ivan Toney. Is this really not going to happen? Now again, like I said with Mo, I'm only going to give you rumours that I think are worth backing because of the amount of information that they've got right in the past. Team News and Ticks is another one, and as we talked about in the video last week, football business changes so quickly. This time last week, I'd have expected Toney to be an Arsenal player in the summer. I'm now quite confident that he won't be, was the update from Team News and Ticks, who's been spot on when it comes to team news and transfer stuff, and was all over the Declan Rice stuff as well. So that's interesting. Ivan Toney isn't looking like he's going to be an Arsenal player from that particular source, but we do know that Arsenal tried to sign him in January, Brentford were demanding an £80 million upfront fee with 20 million add-ons, and you can understand that in the thick of a relegation battle, not having the season Brentford had wanted, and the fact that it was just in the middle of a campaign, Arsenal were never going to part that money, but Brentford weren't going to do a deal unless it came, with a pretty extraordinary transfer fee. And that was never going to work for both parties, despite everything moving really smoothly with the David Raya deal, where we managed to get a loan fee before paying the rest of the 27 million come this summer of 2024. So does that mean it's kind of done for Ivan Toney? Well, probably not. I do think there's an element of cool interest because you want to get that little bit of negotiation power. I do think that could be a part of it from Arsenal's perspective. But also Arteta's got a track record of going back for players that he's wanted before. This little table here shows you that David Raya, Jorginho and Kai Havertz, who all joined in 2023, with Jorginho joining in the January transfer window of 2023, were all first linked in the summer of 2020. So there's actually no reason why Mikel Arteta won't go back for a player that he's wanted before. There's other long pursuits. Zubimendi, for example, has been linked in 3-4 transfer windows. I did a video discussing why he could be perfect for this current Arsenal system, if you want to go check that out. But again, is there something in this that Mikel Arteta does go back for former targets? And actually there's no point ruling out Ivan Toney, especially if he's to play really well at the Emirates this Saturday night. And I was saying on a preview on AFTV, if you really want to endear yourself to the Arsenal fans, put it in the back of your own net and help our title race continue. But of course he's not going to do that. He's going to play his heart out for Brentford, as he always does. He is someone who has done very well against Arsenal. We think about the 2-0 defeat when we first lost there, when Brentford returned to the Premier League, and actually did really well at the Emirates last season, a 1-1 draw, where actually Saliba and Gabriel got the better of him in the away game in a 3-0 win. But at the Emirates, Ivan Toney was a real problem for Saliba and Gabriel, and he proved that against Man City at the Etihad as well. If he has that kind of performance where Brentford are struggling to get out, but they go long to him and he's that out ball, especially with Johan Wissa back in the side, who's got a little bit more pace and dynamism than Neil Maupay, that could be a problem for Arsenal on the day. And I think Toney will say to the Brentford players, use me, I'll get us out of play, I'll hold the ball on for us, and then we say, you keep making the runs, wing backs get up the pitch, and I'm going to show Mikel Arteta what I'm all about. So I think we've got to be wary of an Ivan Toney who's very, very up for proving a point come this weekend. Now, that's the Brentford striking situation. What about Arsenal's striking situation? Because Gabriel Jesus did get some minutes against Sheffield United, so he is back and available to play for Arsenal. But Kai Havertz has been the man leading the line. And this is interesting because he's actually done really well. I think he's playing his best football there. But is this where Arsenal's future is, with Kai Havertz as a number 9? I'm hesitant with that, but the recent update from Mo also had a second part that I deliberately didn't read out because I wanted to leave it for this bit, where he says that he would not be surprised if Arsenal moved away from signing a centre-forward altogether and focus all resources on other areas, brackets, winger and midfielder. I do feel like this was probably what Arsenal needed to do last summer, and we are running a little bit behind. If Kai Havertz is going to be the long-term striker, which Mo's not saying, but that's what I'm taking from it, that if we are going to focus on a midfielder and winger, it's because they're happy with what they're getting from their striking options. If that's the case, then does that make the pursuit of Kai Havertz as a midfielder proven to be a bit of a waste of time? Some of you might not like that in the comments, but I'm just asking the question. If that's where he's going to play in future as a number 9 who offers a different profile, fine, he's actually done that quite well. But I felt that last summer we were in a position where we need to focus on a winger and a midfielder, and we had options with Kai Havertz and Trossard to do a job up front, and that this summer we had to move into getting that 30 goal a season number 9 and getting more of an out-and-out goal scorer. Is Kai Havertz that? Well, he has got 2 goals and 3 assists from a striking position, for Arsenal this season. He hasn't played that much up front, so maybe there is something there, but I'm just not entirely convinced this is the way to go. I think we should be looking at the plethora of striking options out there and taking a little bit of a risk, though I understand that none of those strikers are dead certs. Like, yeah, sign him and he'll make a massive difference. That's why I'm a little bit surprised. And like I said, it's just rumours and insight from Mo. There aren't official reports saying that Arsenal won't go for a striker. In fact, there have been other reports saying that Arsenal definitely will. He still thinks that we're going to go for Osimhen, which backs that up. But I just think it's interesting that if Arsenal don't get their number 1 target, or whoever that might be, they might be willing to go for a Pedro Neto, a Nico Williams, I don't know, Elise, I'm just chucking that out there, who knows, and getting another midfielder, which I think would add a really nice balance to the squad. I just wonder why Arsenal would pivot so far from what it looked like they were going to do for so much of this, build up to the summer transfer window. Now, the final thing that is surprising me from an Arsenal transfer perspective is that actually they're looking to do a little bit more on the academy side of things. And there was a question asked by Matthew M to David Ornstein at The Athletic, where he said that there's been talk of Arsenal targeting more signings, youth signings for the first time. Is it about academy signings or players such as Joel Hato at Ajax or Evan Ferguson at Brighton, who are extremely young but would come in as first team players? Ornstein said that when he said on the podcast, he meant that there'd be more investment than there's previously been in academy level signings. He says, we've seen impressive progress at this level at Liverpool and Man City, so Arsenal would like to close the gap and produce more talent who can potentially play in their first team or be sold for profit. He then goes on to say that Hato and Ferguson wouldn't come under that bracket. And I understand that. I could see why Arsenal would want to go more in this direction. When you look at where the squad are, they're now growing, getting to a nice age. You then want that next level of player ready to go. But I'm surprised that it's sort of being said quite publicly that that's the direction Arsenal want to go in. We know that Arsenal have just got in a former, Real Madrid scout who, was brilliant in terms of his work, especially I think in Brazil. And so Arsenal maybe are trying to look at really beefing up their academy and having a real line of players coming through. Because I've even been critical about the amount of players who have actually had an opportunity to break through at Arsenal. We've seen, for example, in the Champions League when we had that dead rubber, players, youngsters weren't being given minutes. Nwaneri got some minutes against West Ham. But he's very young, he's 16. Where are those 17, 18, 19-year-olds, coming through and getting their opportunities? The reality is there probably aren't many sort of paths to the first team, or they're not good enough. And if they're not good enough, maybe that's something Arsenal want to address come the summer. And that does surprise me as a report. That wasn't something I was expecting to see. But actually, the more I sort of digest it, I think it kind of makes sense. So I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. Any of you a little bit surprised by this, that Osimhen could still be the number 1 target? I wasn't expecting that. I thought it would be Chelsea very much in the running. The fact that Ivan Toney, is that really off the table? You've then got questions around the academy and the building there, but then also if we don't get the striker we want, could Kai Havertz be that future number 9? with actually investment going around the rest of the team. All that's a little surprising and a little bit further from what I expected, to be happening in the summer when we were talking about it this time a week ago. But Arsenal keep you guessing, and you never really know what's going to happen until it happens. And I just want to say a really big thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, actually hit the links right here to watch more content like this, including my Football First podcast, which drops every Monday to Friday at 6 AM. And I know it's annoying, I am really sorry to have to ask, but if you want to show support to the channel, hitting the like and subscribe buttons help promote the content much more than you could possibly know. Thanks again.